Well, I'm Dan Harris. I'm a beekeeper, and I am trying to get a few hives ready today. It's if it's a degree out, it's 90. It's supposed to go to 95, so I'm trying to get some of this stuff done before it really gets hot. I'm trying to get a handful of hives ready to move out of this yard this week and get them into some of my out yards. And I'm just going to show you kind of what I do to get prepared to do that. I take an inner cover. This hive currently has a feeder on the top. I'm going to take that off for transport, and I'm going to put a mesh hardware cloth staple on the top of this hole, and the purpose of this is to provide them with ventilation and transit. So what I'll do is I'll get this thing all ready to go. I'm going to give it a check out first, make sure it's ready to go. I save my single deep box hives in this yard. There's just way too many bees in this yard, and they need to be dispersed. And I can move the single deeps pretty much by myself. Once they get to be double deeps, it's a little bit more difficult. So I'm trying to get these single deeps out of here. So what I'll do is I put the screen across this guy, this inner cover. It'll go on top. I'm going to put a mesh on the entrance, but I'm not going to completely obstruct the entrance. I'm just going to put a mesh across it so that the morning that I go to move these guys, I can come out here dark o'clock before there's any bees flying, give them a puff of smoke, and staple the rest of that entrance shut. I'm going to have a ratchet strap around them so that everything will stay together. I'll pitch them in the back of the truck, and the truck will hopefully be already loaded and ready to go. So all I have to do is throw the bees in, and away I go in the cool of the morning, get them where they're going, turn them loose, and get on with my life and their lives. So basically, we're going to take a quick look and see if this one's ready to move. I suspect it is. I certainly hope it is. And we're going to see quickly enough if it is. And then we'll kind of get them ready to go. And this is just the way I do it. There's a gazillion beekeepers out there that'll probably say, well, no, they'll probably find all kinds of flaws with my approach. And certainly I'm open to ideas for better ways to do things. We don't need that right there. We're going to put it over here and take this feeder off. And generally speaking, there'll be some bees on the bottom of the feeder, so I'll leave it right here so they can go back into the hive without bouncing them around particularly. That hive tool is hot. And I see they still have a ways to go on these frames to draw comb, which is okay. I want to make sure we've got a lot of young bees, a lot of new brood getting ready to emerge or emerging soon, so that we've got bees to make wax. And they filled that with sugar syrup honey. When they get where they're going, I'll take feeders with them too. I'll feed them there. I just want them out of this yard while I can manage them before they get too big to manage. You see, got a good bit of cap brood here and a good bit there. And as those young bees emerge, they will come out all ready to make wax, and that is what we were hoping for. Oh yeah, we get good population. They are emerging. A good population of brood. I see some newbies on this frame, what I call callow bees, because they're a lighter color, and they're a lighter color that first 24 hours after they emerge from their cells, prior to their exoskeleton hardening. And so when I see those, I know we do have bees emerging. I see new brood, I see eggs, and larvae in many of these cells. So this one's ready to go. This one, you know, it's not so big as to be heavy and onerous for me to try to move. And I'll take them to, actually these are probably destined to go to North Carolina, to the mountain bee yard I have there, where the spring really hasn't even started, or is just now beginning to start there. And we're probably mid to 2/3 of the way through, or maybe even all the way through our nectar flow here. So it'll give them a chance to build up there and hopefully they'll continue to build up like they are at the moment. And if they do that, then by the time July gets here, they'll be all ready for sourwood. Here are some pieces of hardware cloth I've cut just for this purpose today, and we'll staple them in place across the entrance. And once again, I'm not gonna close these bees up where they can't come and go, but I'm gonna have them, you know, mostly ready. Now that fits. I thought I cut that thing pretty close. I guess I did, didn't I? I'm gonna trim it down just a shade, and I'll show you how I do this. Again, my way is just my way. I never believe, not for a minute, that my way is the only way, or my way is the best way. My way is simply my way, and you know, we just do the best we can, each of us. So what I'm going to do is, right now that's blocking the entire entrance, and I use very, very, very short, like 1/4 inch staples, so they really come out very easily. If I need to remove this screen, and so I'll bend this back so those bees can come and go. And as I say, the morning that I transport them, I'll sneak in here at dark, a couple puffs of smoke, a staple in that corner, and pitch them in the truck. And pitching's probably an exaggeration, but I'll put them in the truck, and away they'll go. What we do is, oh, will there be any copperheads under there, or any black weirdos, or any of those things? You know, you try not to disturb all those other people that live in the bee yard, because when you do, it tends to come at a price. And I'll be honest with you, in this yard, 20 years I've lived here. This is really my backyard. 20, a little over 20 years I've lived here. I've seen countless snakes. I have yet to see a venomous snake on this property. Now I can go down the road 1/4 mile, there's a creek, and I've seen copperheads down there on a regular basis. I'm going to do this just about like this. So that will be, so all we're trying to do is not going to carry weight. It's just keep this top on and intact. When we move them, I'll carry a deep super along with me, a feeder. I'll feed them, and I'll tie this off like so. And I'll lay this top on like so, just to keep the top on the hive. And it doesn't fit down very well because of the ratchet, but it sits well enough. I was reminded this morning, I had a friend years ago who used to claim that the reason they gave us dark and light was to remind people who didn't have better sense when they were supposed to be asleep or awake. About 4:30 this morning, when I was out here stapling up some entrances on these hives, I was reminded of that, and really just how smart that guy really was. It's not dark o'clock anymore. It's almost 6. I'm just moving 4 hives this morning. I'm taking them up to North Carolina. I've got room for 4 more hives. I ran out of sourwood honey last year in December, and I really would like to capitalize on that nectar flow, which doesn't even start until July, by getting some good young hives up there and having them really robust by July and adding them to the existing hives up there. So that's what I'm doing this morning, in case you're curious. These hives are, the entrances are gathered at the barn. Oh my, that thing is heavy. Oh. This, of course, is one of the many reasons beekeeping is not for old guys. I leave the telescoping covers off because I've vented the inner covers. Has some hardware cloth on them, so there's ventilation. The high today is supposed to be 90 plus here, like 92 this afternoon. Up in the mountains where these go, it's generally about 15 degrees cooler, so it won't be nearly so hot up there. Oh, good Lord. You know, they get heavier each time. Each one is heavier than the one before. Yes, indeed. Another example of why beekeepers tend to have bad backs. I got 100 miles to go. I don't be any rougher ride than it needs to be. So we'll make sure they're scotched really good.